start our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
Shalom, Ka'ala Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakal Kodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the elect, who the house of David be born again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we are known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the video we just watched. This video was one of the bankers from the BIS bank in Switzerland. Now, if you are unaware of the BIS bank, it is basically the top bank in the entire world, the Bank of International Settlements. All banks, centralized banks, all contract banks, all basically pay up to the BIA, right? This is where the all the contracts, people even say your Social Security, life contract go back to the BIA bank. Okay, now they are located in Switzerland, where basically is the headquarters of the Edomite race, right? You're gonna find the kings of Edom, basically these people, along with some of the other top elites, the 1%ers that you don't even know their names, all Edomites, all dwelling in Switzerland. Okay, that's where they've decided to make their land, right, in that cleft of the rocks there in the Swiss Alps. Now, before we get into any further, right, let's go and read this. This is Psalms 37 and 12. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be upright of upright conversation. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. Now, this scripture here is talking about the Edomites, right? The people who currently are in rulership of the world. And like it tells you in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, right? And these are the wicked, right? You're seeing some of the top kings of the wicked right here. These are all what you would refer to as Caucasians, but the Bible refers to them as Edomites, right? They are of the nation of Edom. That is the white man's true biblical name. Now, as the scripture says, right, the wicked plotteth against the just. And who is the just? Well, the just, first and foremost, is the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? One thing you could see is that over history, the Edomite nation has always been at war with the Israelite nation, right? One way or another. And ultimately, right now, at this current disposition of time, the Edomites have the Israelites under subjection, right? It may not be hard bondage, but ultimately it's a slave wage. It's a wage slavery of some sorts, right? You're not free in this world, right? And also it tells you here, it says that the Lord will laugh at him. seeing that his day is coming. And that's because, you see, these Edomites, they also understand that their time is short. They understand that they will be, out of the picture soon, which is why they're doing what they're doing right now, right? They're trying to take down the Israelites and all those people in the rest of the world who are standing in the place of their new world order, right? But the thing is the Lord is laughing at them, man, because he understands that they're going to be destroyed. Right? And it tells you here, says, the wicked have drawn out the sword. Now, what is that sword? That sword is the plans for destruction upon us, the Israelites, right? These jabs, these Planned Parenthood, the policies, the over-policing, the economic disparity in our communities, right? These are all forms of the sword, being drawn out against us, right? And bending the bow at us, right? These devils, though they may not be doing it like in the old days where they will, thrust our people through with the sword or take off a head with an axe, they're doing the same thing, but through their policies, right? Through their institutions, through their bureaucracy, it all manages to do the same thing, right? And in our death. Well, it says, where it says here at the end, it says, their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. And you see, the Lord, and when you read the Bible, he has a common occurrence where he turns the weapons of the wicked against themselves, right? And that's ultimately what's going to happen, man. You see, all these jabs that are, taking people out right now, a lot of those are Edomites that are falling, man, right? Having heart attacks at 28 years old, and women that are all gung-ho for this jab. And it's not our people, man. Our people, the Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, are the ones who are abstaining from taking these jabs, man. And these Edomites are pissed because, we're the ones who this trap was set out for. But, we're not basically biting on that bait, right? And they're ultimately just killing themselves off. Now, that being said, this also goes into a further point about ultimately it's going to be their own nuclear weapons that they have built in the hopes of destroying their enemies. Ultimately, it's going to come and destroy themselves, right? These Edomites, the English, the Americans, the Australians, the French, the Canadian, all the places where the Edomites dwell at, they will all perish, right? Because through their own hands, that nuclear fire will ultimately find its way to destroy them, right? And why is that? Well, because these devils, as you just read, are bringing forward a war on cash, right? Just like that fat pig said, man, right? They want to have the ability to know who's spending that $100, those 1,000 pesos, right? Because they want to be able to track everything. They want to see where everything's going, who's using what. That way they can tax everybody and all this stuff, right? But you see, that's the thing. That's not just the thing about digital currency. Is that besides them knowing where it's at, they're also going to be able to control it because it's a digital asset, right? And so, for example, one thing that's it's going to say here in this article, which we're going to read a little bit of, is that they're going to be able to dictate, how long you have to spend this money, what this money can be used for, right? Hey, if you want to buy something that hasn't been authorized or is considered illegal, how are you going to pay for it, right? You can't just pay money for it. Not with these digital dollars, you can't. And when they get rid of the paper money, how is it that you're going to make transactions? Well, that's going to be up in the air, right? They're planning on making that not a possibility because they want all control. And ultimately, man, all this leads to the mark of the beast, right? But let's just read a little bit of this article to show you what's coming, right? It says, the war on cash endgame is here. Programmable digital currency, the next stage of the new normal? The war on cash's endgame is here. money replaced by vouchers subject to complete state control. Building on the Bitcoin model, central banks are planning to produce their own digital currencies, removing any and all remaining privacy, granting total control over every transaction, even limiting what ordinary people are allowed to spend their money on. From the moment Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies first emerged, sold as an independent and alternative medium of exchange outside the financial status quo, it was only a matter of time before the new alternative would be absorbed, modified, and redeployed in service of the state. Enter the central bank digital currencies. Right? And you heard Apostle Tahar talking about this weekend, man. Because this term here, the CBDCs, are making their rounds, right? Because why? Because this is ultimately going to be the new currency, right? And pretty soon, the biggest introduction of this is going to be the new digital US dollar that they're going to bring after these devils collapse this economy. But let's continue. The mainstream answer to Bitcoin. For those who have never heard of them, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are exactly what they sound like. Digitalized versions of the pound, dollar, and euro, etc., issued by central banks. Like Bitcoin and other crypto, the CBDC would be entirely digital, thus furthering the ongoing war on cash. However, unlike crypto, it would not have any encryption preserving anonymity. In fact, it would be totally the reverse, potentially ending the very idea of financial privacy. Now, you may not have heard much about CBDC plans, lost as they are in the tangle of the ongoing pandemic, but the campaign is there, chugging along on the back pages for months now. There are stories about it from both Rutgers and the Financial Times. Just today, it's a long, slow con, but a con nonetheless. The countries where the idea progressed the furthest are China and the UK. The Chinese digital yuan has been in development since 2014 and is subject to ongoing widespread testing. The UK is nowhere near the stage yet, but Chancellor Rishi Sunak is keenly pushing forward a digital pound that the press are calling Bitcoins. Other countries, including New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, and Malaysia, are now far behind. The U.S. is also researching the idea, with Jerome Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, announcing the release of a detailed report on the digital dollar in the near future. You see that, Akim? They're gonna bring this out because they're rushing, because they know that they have a small amount of time to pass all these new decrees, man. And this, like I said, man, this ultimately is going to lead to what this guy said, man. Total control, seeing who is spending what, who's paying and who's receiving, right? Would have the power to control how it is spent, right? And what does that mean? Let's go down here. The key differences with the CBDC is that the central banks would have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of the expression of the central bank liability and have the technology to enforce that. There you go. That's what these devils want, man. And why is that? Well, because of this prophecy. This is Revelations 13-16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. And here's the point, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. And his number is 666. That's 666. Now, like I said, the point is right here. right? To be able to have the system set up so that way you have to have some sort of device, some sort of means to be able to, enforce, the ability to not buy or sell unless you had this mark. How are they going to do that? Well, they're going to turn your dollars into digital bytes or bits, right? And they're going to have full control over it, man. Down here, let's read this, right? This is a funny scenario, but it's a scenario nonetheless, right? It says only X dollars on flights per year, only Y pounds on beef, all for the good of the planet. Money will turn from an expression of independence into nothing but a voucher system operated completely at the whim of corporate monoliths, right? And it says the year is 2030. To reduce your CO2 footprint, your food purchase with digital cash has been declined because you went over your car mileage limit. It's all tracked with your digital ID. 15 social credit score points have been deducted from your climate change passport, right? And that's a scenario that Eson wants to put everybody in, man, in a social credit type of system, man, just like it is over in China, right? But that's what these devils want, man. A programmable digital currency would have coded into it the ability to control our entire society, and it looks like that's where the new normal is heading next. You see that? So these devils, man, they're not slick, right? With this devil Bill Gates here pushing all his supposed medical know-how, all these devils, Jacob Rothschild, along with the rest of the Rothschilds behind all the change to the new standardized normal of the ISO 222 standard for payment systems around the world. You see, these devils are getting ready to bring forward that mark, right? But they're gonna fail. Like it tells you in the scripture, man, the Lord is gonna strike them through when they are about to fill their bellies. So I just wanted to touch upon that, Akim, show you that they're working on getting this digital currency out to the market, but they're not going to be able to win. So ultimately, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ruach HaKodesh, double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.